was I don't remember what the score ended up. I think the Nets ended up winning by I don't even remember. It was like by 9 or something like that. But
Yeah,
the
I think I
Cavs were
have
in
it
it
in
the whole
here.
game.
118-107.
Yeah. There's no way JB Bickerstaff gave away their whole like game plan for this type of game. Like he definitely I think JB is obviously a hell of a coach. The job he's done this year. And I just feel like he has adjustments like that. He has adjustments for KD and everything else that he was not going to use in that game Friday night. That he's
Yeah, I
definitely
believe
has
that.
some ace in the hole things defensively at least. Offensively, I don't know what to expect to be honest,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
at
you never
least
do.
defense. No, it's been that way. It's been that way all year long. I would much, it'd be cool to see. It would be cool to see Jared Allen offensively, obviously. But all right, we'll get into it. We're underway here, Dunny. Happy
Yes,
Hour
we
Hoops, night
are.
1, play-in tournament preview, playoff time. This is playoff time. These. It's so weird. These stats don't count towards anything. They just exist in the play-in void. They're not playoff stats. They're not regular season stats. So it's just the play-in. Dunny, give us our intro here. Let's get us going.
Yes, let's go, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Triple H Podcast, Happy Hour Hoops Preview Edition. The play-in tournament starts today. We're going to be glancing at the Nets versus Cavs here. The line on that game is Nets minus 9.5 points. Over under is 227. We'll also be talking about Clippers, T-Wolves, which is the late game here tonight, the Western Conference. Minnesota is favored by 3.5 points in that game, and the over-under is 231. But Jake, we are starting with the Nets and your beloved Cleveland Cavaliers. And what should be a very exciting game tonight. Lots of implications, lots of good storylines here. I want your organic thoughts off rip here. How we feeling? What are the vibes like? We talked a little before we hopped on, but
Vibes
let's hear
are,
it.
here's the one thing is vibes are good no matter what, because if you would have asked me, even when Degenerate Al texted us before the season and he said, Cleveland Cavaliers over under, I forgot what it is, 27. I was like, over, rip that. Never in my wildest imaginations was I imagining a 43-44 win team making the play-in game. And if they did make the play-in game, I wish it was against a different opponent and not the Brooklyn Nets. That's really what my biggest thing is. Like, of course, the Cavs, their first, taste of playoff experience ever in the last 20 years with the first time in 20 years without a guy named LeBron James on the court, if you guys have heard of him. That is, and their first experience is instead they have to play a road game against not only Kevin Durant, who tortured them for 2 years in the NBA Finals, hit one of the biggest shots of his career in Cleveland, but it's Kyrie Irving, the former Cavs NBA champion, hit the biggest shot in franchise history, and it's these two guys, a team that was a title favorite before the season, in the play-in matchup. It's honestly the worst luck the Cavs could have had to come into this play-in. It's like last year when the Lakers were in the play-in, and that was just such a crazy scenario to see. I feel like this is even crazier to see Brooklyn in this position. So that's like my first feeling is I'm like appreciative that the Cavs are here, but then I'm like, why the fuck does it have to? Why couldn't this be Atlanta? Like anybody else but Kevin, like, and it's not even a slight against Atlanta. I think when we get to those, we'll touch on those games later and whatever that could mean up for Friday. These are all good teams in the East, but Brooklyn's a damn, like, people are picking Brooklyn to come out of the East once they just assuming they win this play-in game, which everybody is. They're 10-point favorites. But I think that might be based exactly right along that line that we were talking about from the game on Friday where they won by 11. So they just set it. It was at like 8 though. So it's been a lot of heavy action on Brooklyn over the last day or so.
I think it's pretty disrespectful, honestly.
I do too, especially the way that you've watched this Cavs team kind of play all year. Like they're not getting blown out tonight. The Cavs might lose by like 10 or 11, 12, but it's never going to be a blowout territory. I can guarantee.
Also, not even like the line in general. Like just like I was watching Damn, now I'm gonna forget what ESPN show it was, but it was on at the gym while I was there, and it was showing everyone who was involved with the show, like producers, on-air talent, and it showed
Yeah.
everyone. It showed everyone's pick for tonight's game, and it was literally like 25 people on the Nets, and no one took the Cavs. Like, I think we are just being. I think the Cavs are just over disrespected here. Like they're both in the play-in for a reason. Brooklyn has been nothing to write home about this year. Of course, they have the two best players, by a sizable margin in this game, but
One
that
of the
doesn't mean
worst
much.
defensive teams in the league by far is the Brooklyn Nets. And
Yeah.
that is whether that comes to head tonight or in a potential playoff series. If they win tonight, they would play your Boston Celtics, who is the best defensive team in the league by a large margin since especially in the second half of the season. Like Brooklyn is not a team that is like, there's a reason beyond Kevin Durant's injury that they are in this position. They couldn't keep it together when he was out. There was no other pieces, and they had James Harden there for a lot of that time, and they didn't keep it together while he was out. He's the man. This team is the manifestation of the Steve Nash hugging Kevin Durant picture from last year. Like that's what it really has turned into. And that's not to say that Kyrie is not going to have an impact eventually. And Seth Curry obviously has been playing really well. Drummond's been playing well. Maybe we see Ben Simmons. He's apparently jazzed up, ready to get going. Now he's feeling confident. Bro. He feels good.
Don't even. No, I'm gonna have to wait until after the plan to talk about Simmons, because I saw that tweet like an hour ago about how people are saying he's walking around like Jordan, dude. Like, get out of here, bro. But you mentioned something that I wanted to bring up, and this kind of is a good segue. No Jarrett Allen tonight. It was announced yesterday. Huge blow for the Cavs. I think that this is, I think people are talking about this game very differently if the Fro is out there. But you mentioned Andre Drummond.
How big of a line swing do you think it would be? How many points is Jarrett Allen worth? Like probably like 4 or 5 points.
I was literally going to say 4. I was going to say 4. I think it would be 5.5 if Jarrett Allen was playing. Yeah, I really do.
That feels more right. But yeah, keep going.
No, but you mentioned Drummond. He has been, playing well for, I think, what people expected. When the Nets picked him up, I don't think it was really a needle mover for a lot of people when Andre Drummond got to this Nets squad. But now the Cavs, who, they don't lack size because they still have that Mobley, Markkanen, Kevin Love flexibility. But, Jarrett Allen being that rim protector, being that size for them, I think it would be a very different game. How worried, if at all, are you about Andre Drummond tonight?
Drummond, I am worried about just the kind of impact that they can have, just the size. But the thing is, the Cavs are going to match. Like it's going to be Markkanen and Mobley and probably Love. I would imagine Love is going to. He's not going to start, but he's going to
play
starting minutes. Yeah. Stevens is going to get the first crack at Durant, I would assume, if he starts tonight alongside the guards. But I can't imagine that. I think Mobley is going to get deployed, and that's one of the things I was talking about earlier with JB, what his ace in the hole. We haven't really seen Mobley ever just like shadow a guy ever this year because he's just too important to everything else. That feels like the play, right? Like at least like 70% of the game, just have Mobley on Durant. Like who else are you worried? Like Markkanen's gonna get bodied by Drummond. Okay, I'd trade that than Durant just going crazy. If you trust Mobley to cover him one-on-one like that, I don't think there's another option. I mean, Stevens would be the other guy, but Stevens is 6'7", and he doesn't have a long wingspan at 6'7". That's just not. I mean, there's not a lot of guys that have the size to cover Kevin Durant, but that really isn't a guy that's going to be able to do it. So yeah, Drummond in the sense that I'm wondering what Mobley's responsibility is going to be defensively, and if it is Drummond, then I think he'll be able to do a good job against him. But if it's somebody else on the Cavs, Drummond's going to have a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, I think overall I think the Cavs are going to need to see a big Mobley game, and I think it's probably going to happen just because. I think the Cavs coaching staff is just going to probably demand the most / the best out of Mobley tonight. I mean, it's not win or go home, but season for sure is in a way on the line tonight.
The one thing that people who probably haven't watched the Cleveland, there's going to be a lot of people introduced to the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight, I am sure.
Yeah.
A lot of casual people just tuning into these games haven't really. The Cavs have been on national TV, I think, one time this year. So just the national audience in general is going to be introduced a lot to Garland and Mobley in their biggest games they've ever played in. These guys are dogs, bro. Like that's literally they hand out a dog chain now for the team, like as their celebratory like thing. Like this team is not going to go down without a fight, and their stars are the ones that lead that way. Mobley is definitely lead by example. He's a quiet guy, whatever. But Garland matched Durant on Friday night in that game. We look at the stat sheet that it was pretty similar where they ended up points, assists, everything else. Garland's going to go out there and do that again tonight. Like there's nobody on this Brooklyn roster that can check him. Like who's the perimeter defense they've got? Like Kyrie's not doing anything to Garland. Patty Mills, Seth Curry, Dragic, any of those guards are not affecting Darius Garland at all. And then if you take a guy like Bruce Brown and put him down there from your starting lineup, that's where the Cavs size advantage can come in when you have a Markkanen and Love and Mobley on the floor. Like Bruce Brown, I don't know. Bruce Brown's gonna be if you want to deploy him against the guards, then that's where the Cavs will take advantage. Like it's a weird, like Kevin Durant is obviously he's just a matchup obliterator. Like it doesn't matter who he matches up with. So that's what throws the biggest wrench in. But other than that, the Cavs, like these teams kind of match up to attack each other's weaknesses very well. And that's why I think I would take the over in this game. The over just missed, right? It was so the 226, it was 225. I think they'll hit over. I think this is going to be a high scoring affair just because I think these teams kind of match up, and they, like I said, they definitely save stuff offensively and defensively. So it's going to be a chess match a little bit to see what happens. But I think these teams are going to come out firing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I got one more role player I want to ask you about. He's someone on the Cavs, old dear friend of mine. And he just happens to be able to unleash playoff mode tonight if he so wants to.
Play in Rondo.
Play in Rondo. Soon to be playoff Rondo. If the Cavs grab a win tonight, I think Rondo, if given the opportunity, if given the right amount of minutes, I think he could have his hand all over this game. I believe last time they played, he had like 12 or 13 assists or something like that.
I think Rondo is going to have a huge imprint on tonight's game one way or the other. This is the moment that they got him for, right? Is for these playoff moments and everything. And Garland is going to, I would assume Okoro covers Kyrie to start. So Garland will get whoever the other guard is on the floor, whether that's Curry or Mills or whoever they put out there with Kyrie. Curry will start, but just throughout the game, I'm saying. But Rondo is going to be very important guarding Kyrie in those spot minutes, whether it's in for Garland, in for Okoro, in for LeVert, whoever else. I think Rondo's going to have a lot of opportunities to cover, even if it's not Kyrie, even if it's one of those guards. Like the Cavs need good perimeter defense tonight.
Rondo in his head too is like still believes that he's on the level of Kyrie. And he's going to try to show that tonight.
At least for one night, Rondo could do Rondo thinks he can pull that. And maybe this is the night. Who knows, bro? If Rondo starts going off and just hitting threes or something right away, you never know.
If he kisses like one layup off the glass the right way, dude, you're just gonna see something in his eyes change, and then
you really can't. It's right away. Like it's the way he starts running down the court. Yeah, like the body language shifts in Rondo.
Or if he starts doing some weird shit with the ball, bringing the ball up the court, like if he throws it behind his back or like between his legs real quick, dude, it's on. I want some Rondo to Mobley lobs tonight too.
Oh,
everyone needs that.
Yeah, so.
It's going to be interesting, though.
But you want to do predictions at the end? You want to do it right now? We could do it.
We can do predictions for this game now, and then I'll give my player prop for this game. I have a player prop for both games for the people.
Okay. Well, I think Brooklyn's going to win. I think the Cavs are going to cover, though. I think it's going to be 120 to 115. I think that's my score.
I think the Cavs also cover. I think the Cavs are going to win.
I hope so.
I'm going 124-120 Cavaliers.
I would not be shocked. I think this 9.5 is crazy. it's a crazy line.
Yeah,
it's crazy value for Cleveland. They're not gonna. This is not going to be a 10-point. They're going to be covering for most of this game. Whether they cover at the end, depending on free throws and whatever, like just late time execution, that's a whole other story. But will this be like Brooklyn's not going to be ahead 10 the whole game? It's going to be a close game. It's going to be back and forth, and I think that's just what this Cavs, like, unless this Cavs team just goes the exact opposite way that I think they're going to, and like looks afraid of the moment, and just I will say the first quarter you might want to bet on Brooklyn because the Cavs are a notoriously slow starter, especially offensively.
I feel like KD is just mad enough that they're in the play-in.
Kevin's gonna have. I bet a prop that Garland and Durant would score 60 combined, and I think Kevin could hit like 55 on his own with that. That's part of the reason I did it.
I actually like that.
What is your prop?
Yeah, my prop for the people. It's a storyline we haven't really touched on all that much yet. Dunny's play-in player prop for the people right here, guys. Caris LeVert over 17.5 points tonight.
Yes, that's what we need.
Ex-Brooklyn net, revenge game in his back pocket. This is why I wish Jared Allen was playing, because he would have a revenge game up his sleeve as well. But LeVert will have to do, I think a ton of attention is going to be paid to Darius Garland. Maybe some of that attention will lead to people forgetting about Caris LeVert. 17.5 is easy. This is a guy in his career who has dropped, I believe, a 60 burger on my Celtics. It was, if not, it was high 50s. So he, very capable scorer. Like I said, a lot of attention is going to be paid not only to Garland but to Mobley as well. Caris LeVert over 17.5. Book it.
I'm with it. Let's ride. Let's do it. We've got a comment here from our boy Michael. I don't know. Don't want to pronounce that wrong there for you, but thoughts on Kevin Love's role tonight? Kevin Love.
I don't think it's going to be as big as last game against the Nets, but I think I think he's going to have a prominent role. I do.
Here's the thing about Kevin Love is that the Cavs are at their best when Kevin Love and Cedi Osman are hitting open threes, and they will have a lot of opportunity. Garland and Mobley, just their kind of gravity on the court opens up a lot for shooters that the Cavs just don't really have. Like LeVert's not a great knockdown shooter, but Love and Osman are streaky, and they hit at the same time sometimes. And that's really when this team clicks, is when this bench unit that nobody talks about, no one talks about this bench unit, but sometimes they just be hitting. And so I think that's Love's role tonight, is we need Kevin Love to have 18 and 10 or 20 and 10. Like, it needs to be a normal Kevin Love night. And he's very capable of doing that, especially tonight against a team that I'm not worried, like, besides Andre Drummond, I'm not worried about being physically imposing. Like, Love's not going to get bodied this whole game tonight. He's not,
especially if he does come off the bench. Like, who's going to check K Love off the Nets bench? Let's see if they put
the starters. We're close to game time now, so let's see if we can get started before we go into the late game.
If we get, obviously K Love's not going to like rise up on Nick Claxton. I would take Claxton's rim protection, but if Claxton has to cover K Love 10, 15 feet away from the rim, I think that's K Love veteran bully ball all day.
I think so too.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Claxton.
Like you said, there's Drummond, but I don't know if there's many other guys on the Brooklyn Nets who can check K Love's skill set. Of course, we might see some Durant on K Love if those two are out there at the same time. But yeah, I think one, the Cavs need K Love to have a big night, and I think he just may by default.
Facts. All right, so we've got a little less than 10 minutes here to wrap up with our second game of the night. This is a very interesting game. The LA Clippers, who are a mystery of the NBA playoffs if they make it. People still wondering if Kawhi Leonard is going to walk through that door. As Pablo Torre put it earlier on the great show Debatable, that Kawhi will have successfully load managed an entire NBA season if he returns. It is honestly the most interesting subplot in the NBA to me right now, is Kawhi's status, but you got to make it first. and they have a very tough matchup with a Minnesota team who, again, I think is going to be introduced to like the general public a lot for the first time tonight. There hasn't been a lot of Minnesota national games. This Minnesota team's for real. Like, this is a very good squad. That -3 is like the perfect line because like I kind of want to take the Clippers, but like you really could see this going either way. But I think this Minnesota team is going to show up and show out tonight. It's not going to be Cat, though. I think the man who lives for this moment is Anthony Edwards. And if you're putting me up with Anthony Edwards against Paul George, I'm going to take Ant. I think he sees the moment. He does not shy away from this. His first big playoff type atmosphere. I'm leaning towards Minnesota. What is your read on this, though?
Oh, I lean Minnesota too. I think they're the more complete team. I don't even know if that's true, but I think they have the most firepower, star power right now, obviously with Kawhi out. I think the way Cat and Edwards have been playing down the stretch, and then dude, I really think that Pat Bev is going to have his hands or his brain all over this game. Like, I think Pat Bev is going to break down this Clippers team mentally. I think it's something he's capable of. And I think it's something that he is looking forward to.
Now, whose revenge game is this, though? Is it the Clippers' revenge because they hate Pat Bev, or is it the Pat Bev revenge game? I was wondering coming into this.
I think it's the Pat Bev revenge game.
Is he allowed to get a revenge game for being a little shit?
Yeah, I mean, whether he deserves it or not, he's gonna take it, bro. That's how Pat Bev has made it in this league. He doesn't wait for permission.
I think you're onto something that no matter what, this game's gonna come down to a tense final 5-minute moment that definitely features Patrick Beverley doing something absurd. Whether it's good or bad, I don't know.
Vegas definitely, was a lot closer to nailing the line on this game than the first game, for sure.
I don't even know what to do with this game. I want to bet it, but I'm so scared of everything about it. Like, they just did it so perfectly.
Yeah.
So what are you leaning then? So you think this is Minnesota just all the way through, and then the Clippers get stuck playing one or the other, the Spurs or the Pelicans?
Yeah, because I think whoever loses this game is gonna beat the other whoever.
I think so too.
Comes out of that other game. I think both these teams are making the playoffs. I do think Minnesota grabs it tonight, though. I also, it's crazy. I feel like I've never sounded like much more of a Pat Bev fan than like maybe anyone, but definitely myself. I've never talked this highly of him. But I think you can credit Cat's success this season to Pat Bev too. Because guys in that T-Wolves locker room were like, dude, Cat was the most like easygoing, laid back, quiet player on our team. And then Pat Bev showed up, and now he just talks trash to everybody. And you see it. You see it this year. I mean, Cat, we've seen an emotional Cat, and not like how we've seen before, where he just cries to the refs or, gets called soft by Jimmy Butler. Like, he's angry. He's here. He's letting you know that he's here. Anthony Edwards is his co-star. And then we can't forget about D'Angelo Russell, who's probably a top 3 passer in this league. Just out of everyone in the entire league, D'Angelo Russell has that. And like you said, they just don't get the national attention, so nobody knows that. I think the Clippers, maybe in for a rude awakening tonight.
I'm with you. I'm leaning Minnesota, as I said earlier. I do think that this Clippers team I just don't even think that they can really match up with this Minnesota team. I think you just look across the board, like Minnesota is more talented, especially Minnesota's starting lineup is one of the best, is I think top 10 and plus minus in starting lineups or 5-man lineups in the NBA. And this is crunch time. Like, those guys are going to be out there a ton. But the subplot is, if the Clippers lose this game, is Kawhi showing up Friday night at Crypto.com Arena
and just
season
murdering everyone.
It feels like, I don't know, it's been so quiet. Like, we haven't even heard, it's always quiet around Kawhi, but at least you usually hear some sort of random rumor, right? Like, we haven't heard a peep about.
I feel like Kawhi is 100% healthy right now, and when he wants, he's just gonna be like, hold my beer and come back and just start dunking on everyone.
They're gonna be tied 1-1 with Phoenix after the first 2 games, and then all of a sudden It's just gonna be the 90-minute notification before the game, like the lineups. Kawhi Leonard active, and Twitter will go ablaze. I am very intrigued, but no, I don't have much more to add. I think Minnesota wins this game. I think I don't know if they cover. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say I don't know. So take the points.
Yeah, I think I'd be fine telling people to take the Clippers points here. I don't know. It's going to be a tight one. I do see Minnesota taking it, but something I just wanted to point out is, if people are just looking at, matchups from this season, to judge this game, the Clippers did win the season series 3-1, but all of the Clippers wins were in the month of November. They weirdly played 3 games in November.
Yeah, what? Why did Minnesota and LA play 3 times?
Yeah, I have no idea.
That's so strange. What a weird scheduling.
And the final game was in January, so much closer to now. And that's when the T-Wolves grabbed the 1 win. And as we know, the Timberwolves are a much different team now than they were in November, like by a long shot. So keep that in mind if you guys are just looking at the analytics or, the matchups from earlier this season. Different T-Wolves team, and, so much has happened since November in the entire NBA, not just with these 2 squads.
It's going to be a blast. It's going to be a fun night. This feels like last year's playing, the first night was a good night, but this feels like I don't know. It just feels, maybe it's the full crowds and everything. It's been a normal NBA season. We kind of know what we're getting with the play-in. We had one of the best games of the NBA postseason last year was Warriors-Lakers play-in match.
Yeah.
That game was incredible.
That was electric,
I'm expecting one of these games to pull that off. I'm hoping it's the first one. I'm so excited to watch the Cleveland Cavaliers play a game without LeBron James that matters. I don't know how to say that other than that. It's so crazy to me that we're at this point so quickly. It's gonna be a blast. It's gonna be a hell of a night. Tomorrow, what if we gave our predictions? We both have Minnesota. We both got Brooklyn. So who do you have winning tomorrow night to set up our Friday matchups? We've got, we'll wrap up here in the next couple minutes, but Atlanta, Charlotte, and San Antonio, New Orleans. I think I'm going with Atlanta and San Antonio Yes, you know what? I'm picking San Antonio to pull through in Pop's potential last game, and he gets to fight another day.
Damn, yeah. I think San Antonio is I think that's an easy pick for me. I just think they have better experience, better coach team across the board there. Atlanta and Charlotte's going to be a toss-up for me.
That game's going to be awesome. That's going to be a great game tomorrow night.
I might go Charlotte, dude. It's so neither team plays defense, so it's so tough.
If Hayward was playing, I'd pick Charlotte. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, neither team plays defense whatsoever.
No.
You know what? You're right though. No Gordon Hayward, and the Atlanta Hawks did kind of do this last year and then figured out defense in the playoffs weirdly. Yeah. Oddly enough, they don't have John Collins still, which is concerning. I think I am going to go Atlanta. Trae Young, he steps up for the big moments. They could potentially figure out the defense.
Here's the stat I'll leave you with about Atlanta. I want to get it exactly right, but their home and away splits are pretty significant. In Atlanta, I believe, is the home team tomorrow night. That's at State Farm Arena in Atlanta. As soon as ESPN decides to load, I can get this stat to us, but I think it's significant how much different their record is. Home and away. Atlanta, home record 27-14, 16-25 on the road. So, wow. And they are home tomorrow night. So looking ahead to a potential matchup with the Cleveland Cavaliers on Friday, if the Cavs lose like we expect and the Hawks win like we both now expect, that's the most concerning, the most encouraging thing I'm looking towards. But that's the biggest thing for tomorrow night for sure. And Charlotte's been pretty average. They were 21-20 at away and 22-19 at home. So they were pretty much the same both ways. But Atlanta, a much better team at home. On the road, I guess. I don't know what's going on there for the Hawks on the road. You think that the team, maybe it's the advantage of NBA teams coming to Atlanta, getting their kicks off, going out, all that stuff. that's the real home court advantage for the Hawks. And then just on the road, they're just more themselves this year. That's the theory I'm leaning with. That's the theory I'm leaning with. So LaMelo, you better not be out in those clubs tonight. Yeah, we got to go. So
let me sneak in my player prop real quick for Clippers T-Wolves. Pat Bev over 10.5 points. And if you want a bonus one, the Ant-Man Anthony Edwards over 4.5 assists, folks. Lock it in.
That's it. That's what we're going off. Pat Bev over 10.5. What did you say? And then it was Anthony Edwards over 4.5 assists?
Yes, sir.
That's what we need here. All right. For Donovan Holden, Jake Micah, follow us at Happy Hour Hoops 1. Enjoy the games tonight, and stay tuned for Crossing Swords pregame.
Later, guys.